In this video, I'm going to show you how to use long context Gemini models with Google AI Studio and Gemini API. So let's start by heading to AI Studio website. The example that I'm going to show you is based on a video. So we first need to grab a video, say from YouTube. And there's one video by Demis Hassabis, Unreasonably Effective AI. The video is quite long, 52 minutes, and I'm going to grab a link to that video and I'm going to insert it into AI Studio. So this video now occupies about 900,000 tokens, which is quite close to the token limit for this model. And I'm going to ask it a question. Give me a timestamp of when Project Astra is mentioned in this video. And while the model is processing, I'm going to show you around AI Studio. So on the right hand side, there is a model selector. We're currently using Gemini 2.0 Flash model, but there are also other models that you could use. Then there is token counter. It shows you how many tokens you are currently using and also the token limit for this particular model. There's a temperature slider, which allows you to change the temperature for this model. And there are a few tools. So my favorite ones are code execution. It allows the model to execute the code that it generates, and it also inserts the answer into the model's context. Then there's grounding with Google Search. That means that based on a prompt that you issue, the model will do a Google search query and the search results will be inserted into the model's context so it can get the most up-to-date information for answering your question. And there is also an option to specify a stop sequence and output length. So now the model replied to our query. It says that Project Astra is mentioned at second 53. And now let's head to the video and check. And now we can see that the answer is correct. So at second 53, that's when Project Astra is mentioned. So now this was an example of how to use long context Gemini models in AI Studio, and we're going to try it in the API as well. So at the top left, you see this Get API Key button. So we're going to press it, and then we're going to create the API key through this button. Okay, so now the key is generated, and the simplest way we can interact with the model through the API is by using this shell command. So we are just gonna copy it, and we're gonna head to Colab. We create new notebook. And there we can interact with the shell by using the shell magic. And the last step is to substitute this key placeholder for the real API key that we generated. Let's copy it over. And so what's going to happen is we're going to ask the model, explain how AI works. So let's try to run it. Because this is quite a short request, it won't take long for the model to reply. And here it is. So here is the model breaking it down for us how AI works. So this was the simplest example, and now we're going to try something a bit more complicated. So we're going to head back to this project Astro example, and at the top right there is this get code button. So what this button does is it produces Python code which reproduces the interaction with the model so far. We're going to copy it over to the Colab. Again, we need to substitute the placeholder. So we're just going to copy it. And because this Python code reproduces the whole interaction, we're going to remove the model's answer and run it again. So while the model is processing this request, I'm going to head back to AI Studio and show you more features. So on the left-hand side, there's a stream real-time button. This allows you to interact with the model in real time. The model can see your video, it can hear you, and it can reply to you in audio as well. And there is a library of all your interactions. There's this API documentation button that you can check for pricing and also request limits. There's a developer forum if you have problems. And there's the change log if you want to see what changed between the versions of AI Studio. Now, in terms of the models that are accessible to you, you can head to the right. And there is this Gemini 2.0 Flash model that we have been using so far. And there are a few others. There's this experimental Flash model, which can do image generation as well. There's a Flashlight model, which is even faster than Flash. There's a Pro model, which is currently at the experimental stage. And there's this Flash thinking model, which is also experimental. And now the model finished processing our request, and it says that the timestamp is 53 seconds. And this is correct. So in this video, I covered how to use long context Gemini models with AI Studio and Gemini API. Thank you for listening.